A happy good morning and welcome to SimWorld today. I am Marsh. We are blessed with the appearance of one Rick Blaze. Rick, it is so great to see you again. Welcome into the show. It has been far too long since we've had the chance to chat. Good morning and how are you?
Yo, I'm back up in this thing like a brand new thong.
Heck yeah. Look at Rick. Nothing changes. Rick gets a hiatus and nothing changes with his introduction, borderline on somewhere between PG-13 and R. And that's just where we're at.
That's life. That's life, Marsh.
Amen. Preach, brother. All right, we got plenty to get to. We had a little bit of challenges maybe in St. John's potentially. We've got some big nights from guys that can't get the rest of their roster across the finish line up in the Big Ten. But we're going to start with our game of the week. And that was Virginia Tech finally getting, and they took by the skin of their teeth, but they finally get a statement win against a top program as they take down Louisville in the SimWorld U game of the week, 86-85. A huge night from Travion Novick, an efficient night from Newly Cox, and they got a little Kenyon Perez in there as well. Rick, what were your takeaways from not only just a big win, but a road win from Virginia Tech?
This was a huge win for Virginia Tech. I've been on the record saying that they're going to make Hoops Theory and they're going to be a first round knockout. I'm going to stand on that still. But, however, on tonight, they did what you want every road team to do. Keep the game close to give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter. And they kept the game close throughout. Had a fantastic shot to end the game. And I don't want to take anything away from Virginia Tech, who played exceptionally well on the road the conference game. Marsh, what's going on, Marsh?
You said I don't want to take anything away from Virginia Tech. I thought you meant Louisville because they lost, but continue. You're good.
See, this is my first day back. This how you greet me.
This is it. How you greet me. We're back in form, baby.
Day back.
3 minutes in, and we're back
the
in form.
Shenanigans has started already.
I'm working on slowly tearing you down bit by bit. I'm just get you off your game as much as I can. Please.
Virginia Tech, good game. Louisville, bad loss. I just went on record saying you guys are one of the underdogs to have an opportunity to win the whole thing, and you lay an egg in the conference game. It's not the end of the world, but this is a bad loss for Louisville. A bad loss.
See, I'm going to disagree on the ballot. I think what this game told me, we kind of know what Louisville is, okay? They're a team that has been inconsistent, but they beat good teams. And I'm pulling up my little notable win tracker that I have. So Louisville's notable wins: Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, South Carolina, USC, Memphis, Kentucky. Okay, so they've already beat Virginia Tech once, obviously, on the road as well. But Kentucky, Memphis, both top 10 teams, Georgia Tech on the fringe of it. They've been able to prove they can beat the big teams. And what their challenge has been is inconsistency. So tonight, or last night, didn't really change that for us, right? It didn't change the equation of this team not getting it done day in and day out. Because their peaks, I've said this one before, their peaks are as good as any peak in college basketball. But their valleys, they're not as bad as any valley, but their valley is just like, frustratingly inconsistent. At least, though, they're getting the wins. And last night, what we haven't seen from Virginia Tech all season is the ability to finish. They actually finished last night. They've played competitively against good basketball teams, but they never got across the finish line. And look, they needed all 40 minutes to get across the finish line. This wasn't a comfortable statement win for them, but this was a notable win. And so for me, I'm looking at Louisville and saying, same old Louisville. You guys just... I don't know day in and day out what version of the Cardinals I'm going to get. I know you can rise to the occasion, and you came within one shot of rising to the occasion again tonight, but I already knew that. What I didn't know about Virginia Tech was, can you finish? And they proved last night they can finish a game, they can close it out down the stretch. They didn't fade. We saw that against Duke when they lost it. They faded down the stretch of that game, not like the last 7 minutes, like the last 2, 3, 4 minutes. Last night they rose to the occasion, they met the occasion, and they got the final shot that they needed, and they actually finished the job, Rick.
Yeah, and my biggest question about all of this for Virginia Tech is, what is a hokey? What is exactly a hokey? Can someone from Virginia Tech let us know?
Hokey.
Call it in, mail it in. Tell us what exactly is a hokey.
So a
It
Hokie,
reminds me of
we got to answer. We got to answer.
okay.
What does it remind me of? And then we'll tell us what it reminds me of, and then we'll give you
I
the
was going
answer.
to go a little bit over the PG-13 portion. Keep going.
Ooh, yeah, one of those family shows in the morning. Put the PG-13 R-rated stuff in the afternoon. So the Hokie is referring to somebody who is a supporter of Virginia Tech, and it encompasses the university's mascot, the Hokie bird. So it is a Hokie because they are supporters of the Hokie bird.
There you
They're
have it, folks.
also well. I mean, look, it's better than Hokie Bird evolved from the nickname Gobbler. So I think that we're all in a much better shape for it being a Hokie and not the Virginia Tech Gobblers. So I'm just saying.
Hey, only
That's
only
a
on this show
better outcome.
can you get some factual information on sports and also a learning show as well. It's like a PG-13 version of Sesame Street. Let's get it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Historical moments every single day. All right, let's move on. Historical moments, at least not notable moments, let's say, for St. John's. They get the win last night, 72-71, but another frustratingly inconsistent night from Kaishan Ship, who at one point was considered maybe a top 10 pick. It feels as if that standing is falling. I'm just going to give you, Rick, the last 10 games, 10-ish games from Kaishan Ship and just his shooting percentages. So, last night, 2 of 12. Night before that, he went. Sorry, I'm trying to find these all. 2 of 12. Oh, no, that was VCU. Sorry. All right, 2 of 12 last night. Time before that, also 2 of 12 against Creighton. They lose to Villanova. He goes 9 of 14, so finally plays efficient. They go and they fall to Marquette. Kaishan Ship goes 5 of 15. They beat UConn in that game. He goes 5 of 14. They fall to Xavier, and not a good Xavier team, I would add at that. And in that game, he goes 4 of 13. They beat Seton Hall, not a really great Seton Hall squad. He goes 5 of 12, and they beat UConn all the way back to February. At this point, we are, and he goes 5 of 14. So a very inconsistent, if not primarily bad, stretch of games from Kaishan Ship. I'm curious your takeaways. St. John's gets a win against a not good VCU team. What's your takeaways from Kaishan Ship's slump that's now lasted about 2 months?
2 words. Hollis Price. Hollis Price was a guard play for Oklahoma back in the gap. And I distinctly remember his coach saying, Hollis Price has the green light. He's going to shoot the ball. This is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship. And that's exactly what's going on with St. John's. They believe in a Ship to get them over the hump. Is he pressing? Yes. Has he had a bad stretch of games? Yes. But without Ship doing what he's doing, St. John's isn't the same. You have to believe that a player of his talent is going to correct it more often than not. Now, you just reeled off a bad stretch of 10 games that he would like to forget. But you got to understand with the St. John's team, there's only 3 players averaging double digits a game. And he's one of them. So you want to make sure you want to get him auto-corrected. He's second on the team with points per game, averaging just under 14 a game. His shooting percentage has been pretty good up until these last stretch. I think he's going to be okay. What I love about this is come Hoopsteria, you're on full display. You get a chance to rewrite your own history. So if you've been an average player the whole season, you get to put yourself into a different stratosphere come Hoopsteria. So I think, I don't know I hope the bad games are behind him, but I think it's a young man who's pressing a little bit too much. And I think what the coach needs to do is put him in position to get some easy buckets early, pin down, some back rubs, some back doors, things like that. But I think he's going to be fine overall. Overall, I think he's going to be just fine.
I'm concerned about his projection. I mean, I think this is a St. John's team. This St. John's team, they're ranked, 23 right now in the country, I think it is. This is a team that pretty much is confirming who they are, and it's Louisville light. They've risen to the occasion. They've gotten some notable wins. At one point in the season, they were ranked number 12, 13, but they haven't consistently beaten. I mean, they've beaten teams that are at their level. UConn, SMU, Princeton, New Mexico are the 4 notable wins that I have on my tracker. Those aren't great, but I think for them, Feed into Shea King. I mean, if Kaishan Ship's not that guy, feed into Shea King because 27 last night. Time before that, 21. Time before that, he had 12 on a low night. 18, 3 and 4. 17, 8 and 4. Before that, 11, 4 and 3. I mean, like Shea King is actually that guy. I mean, he's kind of been lost in the translation, really, of a St. John's team that hasn't really laid at stake. I think Shea King is a lottery talent, and he's been more consistent at it. And I think that's the problem. If you're going to be St. John's, you're going to make a long run. You're going to need both of them. So I think you have to continue to believe in Kaishan Ship. Ship kind of came out of nowhere to begin the season, and he's kind of fading into nowhere after this like burst onto the scene. They'll need him to be more consistent. How consistent they can get him, it remains to be seen, but they're going to be competitive in games or at least have an opportunity so long as Shea King is. So this guy's not falling, but I think, and particularly as you look ahead to, projecting this group into Hoopsteria, that's where I start to wonder, and projecting him out into SWBA, I think that's where the concern rises. I think this team's going to win a game or two in Hoopsteria, but the ceiling for Shea King as a prospect, I think, is taking a very serious hit. And I think the question marks are starting to come up on what are we really getting if we're going to draft a 6'9" forward that doesn't really stretch the floor, who relies on being efficient in the paint, and right now has not been efficient in the paint.
You have St. John's winning a couple of games in the Hoopsteria.
I think they could win a couple of games.
So you had them going further than Virginia Tech.
No, you don't have them going further. I do not subscribe to this thought that the number 8 team.
We are a team.
We are. I'm not going to join your team. It says sinking ship on the bottom. That would be a sinking ship if we were teaming up on that one. All right. I am not subscribing to the Virginia Tech losing in the first round. They're going to be a 2 seed. I do not see them losing to a 15 seed. Look, that first Virginia Tech game, I'm going to be watching it as much as anyone because you got this satisfaction of them going out in the first round, and I think that's blasphemy. One of us is going to finally be determined.
You're going to call in sick. If they lose, you're going to call in sick on the next morning show. I'm not going to chance to even gloat. You're going to take a 3-day hiatus, and I won't even. By the time you get back, it's going to be Christmas.
It's going to be SimWorld yesterday is what it's going to be because SimWorld today is not going to exist if Virginia Tech loses in the first round. All right, let's go to another squad that couldn't get the win last night despite an incredible performance from their star, and that are the Minnesota Gophers. Donald DeFetti, 40 minutes. 28 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 13 of 16 shooting. All of that should point to a massive win for the Gophers. Instead, it points to a 15-point loss on the road to Wisconsin. I am shocked by this just because Donald DeFetti has been so freaking good all season long as this downhill threat, but yet Minnesota has nothing around him, it seems, to help raise this team to the heights. The frustrating inconsistency that they have had all season long, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna get too down on them because I didn't. If they would have, I'm not gonna all of a sudden blame you for what you do in a loss that you say that you do in a win that I don't say anything about. So Minnesota's calling card has been we're gonna muck it up, we're gonna play tough defense, and Donald DeFetti is gonna drag us across the finish line offensively. And that's what they've been doing all season long. That's been their calling card. So to me, I'm looking at the defense let them down yesterday. They let Wisconsin get what they want. They gave up 80 points. Minnesota cannot win at all by giving up 80 points a game. They do not give up 80 points a game. So I think DeFetti is fine. I think the team defense last night, maybe they came in unfocused, a little less lackadaisical. But shout out to Wisconsin, who's had a below average overall season, but in the conference play, they got some juice. I think they're 5-3 in the conference play. They got some juice in the conference play. I think maybe he's just one of those teams that just plays you better than most teams do. And Minnesota got caught in that blender, took that L. But their team concept is defense first and let Fetty do his thing. If Fetty did his thing, the defense did not.
Yeah, Wisconsin now 1 game back, despite being 4 games under 500, 1 game back of Illinois and Purdue, who are sitting tied atop the Big Ten. What killed them last night is ultimately what is going to be the ending downfall of Minnesota, because I would not do. They're not going to win a national championship. I just think there's much better teams out there. But this is a team on the season that is shooting 25% from deep. That's 67th in the country. And is making 3.5 threes per game. That's 70th in the country. So you're in the bottom quarter of teams in the country in shooting through from deep. What did they do last night? 1 of 17, a juicy 5.9%. They got outscored by 6 times 3 is 18. Yeah, 18 points from deep in a game that they lost by 15. That's the problem with this team. They can't shoot threes. Donald Ifedi is awesome, but you had two guys. This is going to be Kushner, who I have never been able to pronounce his first name, so Mohammedim. We're going with Kushner. And Idris Blocker, a combined 1 of 16 from the floor, 0 of 8 from deep. A lot of that comes from Blocker, who goes 0 of 10, 0 of 7. So, Ifedi is fantastic. In the latest ESPN mock, I think he's like 20-something. This guy's top 18. He might be top 15. I mean, he's a guy that a lot of folks project as actually a good three-point shooter. He just hasn't taken them this season. He's made 10% of his threes, but he's as a guard, 6'5" wing. His ability to get downhill, get into the paint is second to none at his position, because he's shooting 59.8% from the floor, and that's getting weighed down ever so slightly from that bad three-point percentage. He's a fantastic interior threat, but he embodies the team. He can get inside, but he hasn't been shooting the three well that season. That was ultimately what doomed them last night, a 1 of 17 showing. You're just not going to win games in Hoopsteria at that rate, and they didn't win last night, and it probably means they're not going to be in the Big Ten championship game. Yeah,
and to your point, they're not a great offensive team. Hasn't been all year. Hasn't been their calling card. That's why defense for them is option 1 and option 2. Their best offense is playing defense.
Yep.
Their best offense is playing defense, because they offensively they rely on Ifedi to do so much. He has more like, to me, he has like a prime Andre Iguodala comp for me.
That's a good
one. He's relied on them to do so much that, he needs the defense to step up and be that secondary scorer for them, or at least a stopper to keep the other team from scoring. If he can't do that, if he can't be that, this team doesn't win. They've been doing pretty good so far this season with that. They definitely had a lapse on last night.
And the irony of it is, this team could be, if they could shoot threes, because they're a 21 ranked offense.
Dangerous as hell.
Oh my God, this would be a top 10 team. Which, hey, credit to them. This is a team that won, I think, 5 games last year. They were the worst record in all of college basketball. They're now going to be they're Hoopsteria bound, and they got a shot to win a game or two. I mean, will they win a game or two? Depends on the matchup. I don't know. It depends on who they pick or who they play. But this could be a really great team if they knew how to shoot threes. Unfortunately, they do not, and nobody shoots better than 35%, which everyone knows that's like average. So. That is the Gophers, and that is our show. Very good one. I think good return, Rick. I mean, no notes from me. Good return. We kept it. We didn't veer too much into the R category. We kept it more PG. Hey, I've never left not pleased. We've got plenty more to talk about tomorrow. Some big slate of action here on Thursday. Texas, Oklahoma, and on SimWorld TV at 8:30 p.m. and then at 10 o'clock. UCLA and USC Battle for Los Angeles Collegiate Edition. And of course, remember, this weekend is the Stars of Tomorrow Showcase. Legends and Legacy tipping off at 1 p.m. Greatest players in prep basketball and SimWorld prep basketball putting it on display. Rick,
shout out to Bay Area
joining.
Breakers to winning the SimWorld Prep Championship. I hadn't been on to say that publicly. Shout out to Coach Pope and Bay Area Breakers for doing their thing. Great comeback story. Everybody loves a good comeback story. This was it.
Everyone loves a great comeback story, including Rick back on SimWorld today. That has been our show. We're here on SimWorld TV tomorrow morning. The only place you can see the game, be the game.
Stay classy, San Diego.
This has been a presentation of SimWorld Sports.